It's great to see you guys illuminated for a change here on a day where the market is touching fresh or close to record highs.
I mean, this is one of those things I'm like, well, what has fundamentally changed? Can we really count that like everything has calmed down in the Middle East? I'm thinking about this report that's just, preliminary findings of the U.S. strikes in Iran, whether or not the nuclear enrichment capabilities have been as damaged as we've been hearing maybe from the White House. I just feel like there are still so many questions out there, but hey, everything's awesome today.
Yeah, investors certainly thought so. And we did see a little ever so slight pullback at the end of the day, perhaps on that report from the New York Times, but really surprising to me that, and maybe because it's preliminary, we just had a great conversation with Adam Ferraro down in Washington, D.C. It reminded us, look, this is a preliminary report. It's what we know so far, that if these sites weren't destroyed or at least damaged as much as people had thought, then that program isn't as set back as people had thought, and perhaps there could be more skirmishes moving forward.
I think there are a lot of people expecting a lot more skirmishes anyway to move forward. But right now, what we have is calm for the moment. And investors seem to have gotten comfortable pricing in a lot of uncertainty. And what we know right now is there's just going to be more uncertainty.
And others would say it's just growth. You got real fundamental earnings growth. It's still there. We're underpricing what the potential growth going forward.
All right, well, at least for right now, the market's taking it in stride. You can look across all of the tapes. You have almost 200 companies hitting 52-week highs, and several are hitting fresh record highs. That includes names like Broadcom, Microsoft, Netflix, and IBM. The NASDAQ 100 would close at 22,175 on February 18th, its last record high. Well, it surpassed that here on the day. The NASDAQ 100 closing at 22,190, up about 1.5%. The NASDAQ Composite up 1.4%, still has a ways to go to get to its record high. The S&P 500, which briefly traded above 6,100, closing at 60.92 and change, up 1.1%. 61.44 and change is your all-time high. The Dow Jones Industrial Average up more than 500 points or a percent on the day, and the Russell 2000 keeping pace, up about 29 points or 1.3%.
All right, we've got about 376 names in the S&P 500 higher today, guys, 123 to the downside. And Scarlett, we're now up about 3.6% on the S&P for the year.
Yeah, pretty incredible. Let's take a look at the sectors and how they performed. You have 11 sectors in the S&P, and only 2 of them declined today. Energy lower by 1.5% as oil prices slump for a second day. Consumer staples, little changed on the day. The best performers are technology, led by chip makers, financials also higher, and communication services all gaining at least 1.4% on the day.
All right, a lot of green. I'm going to get to some big ones. Carnival was a bigger gain. I think at one point was the number one gainer in the S&P 500 earlier in this session, finishing the day with a gain of about 7%. Off its highs, at one point it was up as much as 10% today. The company coming out, the cruise operator, boosted its adjusted earnings per share forecast for the full year, and it really did lift the entire group. So we saw a lot of peers rising as well. There were some fears, if you go back about a month or so, maybe some concerns about some of the unrest, some of the tariffs, the trade, and about some of whether or not that was going to cut back on consumer spending. But we did see Carnival come out in a big way today. Advanced Micro Devices, number 2 gainer in the NASDAQ 100. It's up about 7%, just under 7% in today's session. You might remember yesterday we did have one Wall Street skeptic turned into a bull with its progress, or looking at the progress of AMD in AI chips and computing systems. We're talking about Mideast research analyst Ben Reitzes upgrading AMD. That was yesterday to a buy from hold. He also raised his price target to 175 from 110. So we did see AMD up about 1% yesterday and adding that 7% gain in today's session. And then Uber Technologies up about 7.5% in today's session. Today beginning offering its customers driverless Waymo rides in Atlanta. So that makes it its second market after Austin. The two companies teaming up instead of competing against one another. So Uber definitely one of the outperformers in today's session. Tim?
All right, let's go to some of the underperformers. I want to start with Tesla. On a points basis, the worst performer in the S&P 500. 2.35% to the downside, giving back some of yesterday's gains. Remember, that stock was up more than 8% yesterday after the company rolled out its long-promised driverless taxi service to a handful of riders in Austin. Well, today shares fell. U.S. auto safety regulators are actually investigating incidents where Tesla's self-driving robotaxis appear to violate traffic laws during the company's first day offering paid rides in Austin. Once again, shares now down by today 2.4%. I think we got some.
Let's take a look at
coming
FedEx.
out.
The shares they are moving lower in the after-hours trade. Their earnings just now crossing the wire, with the company saying that its adjusted income in the fourth quarter coming in slightly above estimates, $2.02 billion. That was the operating income figure. The street was looking for 1.91. Adjusted EPS $6.07. The street on average was looking for $5.81. On the revenue side, $22.2 billion, and that also is a beat. Here's your guidance going forward. The company says first quarter revenue will grow flat to 2% is the guidance that they're giving for first quarter revenue growth. The company says first quarter adjusted EPS should come in at a range of $3.40 to $4 even. The street on average was looking for $4.03. So that looks to be a little bit of a miss when it comes to its outlook. The company also saying that it's not giving a full year profit view, guys, due to uncertain global demand. And you see the shares bouncing around from losses back to gains.
And a part of the FedEx story right now is really what it does with costs and how it contains those expenses. It's worth noting here that FedEx sees its 2026 capital expenditures at $4.5 billion. Analysts were looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of $5.01 billion, so just over $5 billion. FedEx is going to be spending less in the coming year than what analysts had anticipated.
Yeah, we've seen both FedEx and UPS having a tough time. FedEx is down about 18% year to date. UPS is down about 20%. And I'm just doing a quick check on UPS in the aftermarket. I think initially it was a little bit lower. It's up about 0.5%. So we'll continue to track them and look for some more color, certainly about FedEx. But yeah, that's a big red sticky, not giving fiscal year profit view due to uncertain global demand. So I want to know a little bit more about what that uncertain global demand specifically is.
Yeah, shares down about 1%, but bouncing around in the after hours right now. Wait for commentary on the call as well. I want to get back to, go ahead, Romaine.
Yeah, I also just want to point out, too, that, and we should just acknowledge also the passing of Fred Smith, who of course, was the founder of this company. And they actually lead off their press release with a nice commentary about their late founder. Sorry about that, Tim.
Go ahead. No, it's all good.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back to some of the decliners. I mentioned Tesla. I do want to talk about RTX, formerly known as Raytheon. We did see shares of defense companies fall today. RTX down 2.72% today. Among the worst performers in the S&P 500, defense stocks broadly declined as tensions appeared to cool in the Middle East. And finally, Circle Internet shares fell by more than 15% today. It turns out this stock also goes down. It doesn't just go up. The company's
I think it's the fourth time since it went public that it's gone down.
Shares are up close to 620% since that June 3rd IPO, but down 15.5% today. It was initiated at Compass Point Research and Trading with a recommendation of neutral. The concern is competition is expected to increase after that legislation here in the U.S. was passed. Once again, Circle down 15.5% today.
All right, I'm taking a look at the bond market, guys. Pretty well bid all across the board, pretty much the whole day. That front end coming in by about 5 basis points, the back end coming in very similar as well. A couple things happened. One, you had Fed Chair Jay Powell making no news, so that helped. Two, you also had two-year bond auction, went on without a hitch. Demand was actually quite strong. You had a ton of Fed speakers today. Fed Governor Michael Barr, the latest, saying that he does expect inflation to rise due to tariffs. The second round effects could make tariff inflation persistent. So sort of, again, talking about the different splits on how to look at tariffs when it comes to inflation. I want to point out we get a 5-year auction tomorrow, and then we get a 7-year. So together we get like $104 more billion coming over the next 48 hours. I
got to say, this has been a lot of stuff coming at us. I know that this, I'm just kind of a little dumbstruck here. I don't know if you guys
saw. I love
when
Carol's dumbstruck.
It's been a long day.
It's been a long day. I think you guys are talking about this story. I just want to bring it up. When I read in this morning about this ex-CFA Institute executive charged with embezzling millions, all I could think is, like, if somebody knows how to embezzle, it's probably somebody who has
Carol.
These,
wow.
like, I'm just saying, right, knows how to kind of maybe.
It's serious business.
Perhaps
I know.
Well, as
but
only
ironic.
charter holder here, I would just say this was a little bit of a shock that this actually occurred and that occurred for so long. But at least they flushed it out.
Just for the purposes of our viewers and listeners, level 1, level 2, level 3, Romaine, where are you?
Yeah.
Oh, he has it.
He's done it.
You've done it. Okay.
How dare you?
You've passed all.
I mean, when I passed, you didn't see me like parading around the office with my charter above my head. You must have been off.
Did
that
you
day.
learn how to embezzle?
Oh,
No,
too
you
soon.
learned the exact opposite. It's called ethics.
Oh, wait.
Makes up a
Wait,
huge
Wait,
percentage
did
of
the
the
guy,
test.
though, have a CFA? He was the CMO of the CFA, but did he have a CFA?
That's my point. Like, did he? I don't know. Was he level 1? Did he pass?
You guys are getting us.
That's
all
a
in
good
trouble
point.
here.
That's a really good point.
Right?
But congratulations, Romaine. Good job.
Thank you.
It's like a couple
what
years
this-
too late
Yeah.
here.
That's
But,
actually
you know,
what
it's
this is
fine.
all
We'll
about.
say
Too late, but okay.
All right. I think we have to wrap. All right.
Slay.
That'll do it.
Romaine slays.
All right. That is our cross-platform radio TV
That was just
to
for you, Alex.
I
Bloomberg
know.
Originals. We do it across the board. All right. Alex is heading out for the day. And, of course, Scarlet and Romaine continuing on TV. We will as well on Business Week. All right. We'll see you again. Same time, same place tomorrow.